Hi.
At 14, I was diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis after getting COVID 9 months before. So during my 8th grade year, I was dealing with unexplained fevers and exhaustion and so many other symptoms that I don't really remember. So when we finally found out what it was, it felt like my life was completely taken over by liver disease. I hardly remember that first summer of 2022 because most of it was spent at children's, or I was asleep because I was constantly exhausted. I believe I had 4 admissions that summer between being asked to come in for testing, biopsies, I had an ER trip, and everything else. I ended up switching to a virtual school starting in high school. I had to put band and choir as well as softball, as it was no longer safe for me to do any of those things. And I really felt like liver disease was all my life was going to be. Whenever I turned 15, I was able to start figuring out what a life balance was going to look like. And I was able to go to my youth group more often like I used to. I ended up being able to play softball that following summer. I got to hang out with friends more and more and just find a new routine of life that was around my disease. When at 16, I felt like I was really getting my life back. I joined a Bible study and was serving on our student
And set up and tear down every week. I then started feeling off again and had a ton of random symptoms again, weight loss, and my appetite changed, only to be diagnosed with diabetes after a 600 blood sugar caused by the steroids I was taking to control the liver disease. 2 months later, I started my senior year, a year early, since online school allowed me to go much quicker with my school. I got my license at 17. I was just trying to make the most of my senior year, even though it wasn't the senior year I expected. I got to go to winter formal that year, and I was just wanting to go at least one high school dance. It's the spring semester, I got to keep going to church. I started doing media at the church, and then I was playing pickleball, going to lunch after church with friends, and just trying to make the most of my senior year. I ended up convincing a guy who's in my youth group to get me a prom ticket so I could go to prom my senior year. And to my surprise, he actually did. 2 days after prom, I got the news I never wanted to hear, that it was time that I needed to get listed for a transplant. I did not sleep at all that week, really. Ended up getting a migraine from not sleeping, and I was just stressed with how was my life going to look. I just started getting my life back, so how is it going to look if I need a transplant? I was officially listed on the list on July 3rd of 2025. I had applied to do an internship at the church doing student media, and that started in August, so I thought, well, we don't know when the call's coming. Might as well do something I enjoy, that I can easily step away if I have to. I started the internship. The first week was great. That following Sunday, I went to church like I normally do. My friends and I went out to Mexican after church, and then I was in my room for maybe 30 minutes when my sister came running in my room that we had gotten the call. My sister was practically bouncing off the walls, so I knew exactly what she was going to say. I got my transplant the next day on August 25th, 2025. Recovery for me was really rough because I finally had the energy to want to do things, but I had limitations on what I should be doing in order to make sure the recovery went as well as I could. I ended up staying at Children's for 18 days following the transplant, and whenever I got home, I had energy to do pretty much whatever I wanted. I started baking again because I had the energy to stand for multiple hours. In October, I started doing half days with the internship. That way I would be able to then go back full-time. I went full-time on October 29th, which was our student Halloween party, which I was really excited that I got to go back on one of my favorite nights for the students. And I got to just continue to do ministry over the next couple of months. And now I'm 8 months post-transplant, and I started college in January to get my communications degree. I am about to finish my first year in ministry doing student media. The guy that got me a prom ticket is now my boyfriend. And I've gotten to enjoy the second chance that God has given me for my life.